coming up on Retiring Well with Michael REESE.
Of everything that I ever talk about on this show, this right here may be the most important thing that you ever get on this show at any time. Let's really focus on your goals. Let's get crystal clear on your goals, and then strategies to support goals and tools, etc.
But when you dig into these variable annuities, yes, they provide guaranteed income, but from an investment standpoint, they're just riddled with fees.
Retiring Well with Michael REESE, helping you make smart decisions with your money so you can live a better life. Today is the day you can take back control of your money. Retiring Well with Michael REESE, where we believe your best is yet to come.
Welcome to Retiring Well. I'm your host, Michael REESE. We've got a terrific show lined up for you this week. We are talking about financial tools. And, we often get the question, is something good? Is it bad? Is this good? Is that bad? Is this stock good? Is it bad? Is this bond good? We get that all the time. And I think it's really important to share a little story here. Okay, or maybe a metaphor would be a better way to say it. I want you to think about this. I want you to think that you're going to hang a painting or a picture on your wall. And so you have this nail. And what you're going to do is you're going to put the nail in the wall so you can just hang the picture, right? I mean, something we all do. We've all done this. Piece of cake. I mean, I've got children who are 12 years old that can handle this. Now, here you have your toolbox. You pull out the toolbox, you've got your nail, and imagine, for the sake of discussion, that you pull out a saw. You just reach in your toolbox and you pull out that saw. And you say, okay, I've got a nail, I've got a saw. Is that the right tool for you to use to put that nail in the wall so you can hang your picture? Yeah, probably not, right? Now, could you put the nail in the wall with a saw? I don't know, maybe. Maybe you could, maybe you have this really cool way of using a saw to put a nail in a wall, but I got to ask you something else. If you had a hammer, would that just work out a little bit better? I mean, of course it would. Now, here's my question. Does that mean the saw is bad and the hammer is good? So is that what it means? The saw, it didn't work so well, but the hammer worked great. So the saw must be bad and the hammer must be good. Is that what that means? I mean, no, that's not what it means at all, right? It simply means that in your toolbox, you have a hammer. It's designed to do a job. Hit that nail into whatever you want it to go into. You have a screwdriver. It has a job. You have a saw. It has a job. They all have different jobs. Well, the same is true when it comes to investments. The same is true. So a good example of this, we have this happen all the time. People will come in, people just like you, they're watching the show and they're saying, oh man, I want to call those guys. I want to get that second opinion. I want someone to just double check what I'm doing, make sure that what I'm doing is right, and if it's not, to help maybe make some suggestions as to what you can do. So people just like you, they're watching the show, they call us, they come and visit, right? Which is great. It's free, it's wonderful. And so here's what they do. They come in, and it's very common. People just like you, they will slide across the table and say, here, I've got X, and I'm trying to find out, is it good? I have this long-term care policy. Is that good or is it bad? I have this life insurance. Is that good or is it bad? Or this annuity. I have these mutual funds. Are they good or are they bad? Are some of them good? Are some of them bad? We get those questions all the time. Yet, here's the problem with all those questions. Those questions all revolve around the wrong thing. You're asking the wrong question. Just like, is the hammer or the saw good or bad? That's the wrong question. The right question is, hey, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? What are your goals? Is it to put a nail in a wall, or is it to take a piece of wood and cut it in half? What are your goals? And if you're clear on your goals, then that naturally leads to whether or not a tool not is a financial tool good or bad, but is that tool appropriate, right? Is it the right tool? Is it the best tool to use for you to accomplish a specific objective? That's the question you really should be asking. And this is an area where people get in trouble all the time because financial advisors in general don't ask that question. Instead, they simply say, hey, you need to build this balanced portfolio. But they never stop to say, well, wait a minute, is that the best way to accomplish your goal? Okay, this is really important. We're going to talk more about this today, and this is some really interesting stuff. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back.
Will your retirement vision be your retirement reality? Centennial Wealth Advisory invites you to an eye-opening and exciting event packed with up-to-date, valuable, and important information. Join us for a free presentation with complimentary gourmet dinner and find out what you're missing on these vital topics. What is the suitability versus fiduciary standard of care in the financial services industry? What are the biggest tax traps? What are the hidden costs in mutual funds? Why is getting a second opinion the most important financial decision of your life? And much more. Choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, October 17th at Boone's Long Lake Inn in Traverse City, Thursday, October 19th at the Inn at Bay Harbor in Petoskey, or Wednesday, October 25th at the Otsego Club in Gaylord. Presentations start at 6 p.m. and are free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow. But seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 888-608-5825 or visit sen-wealth.com to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important presentation, making your retirement vision a reality. Call 888-608-5825 today.
Hi, I'm sitting here with Larry Flynn. Thanks for being here, Larry.
Thank you, Mike.
He's one of the advisors at Centennial Wealth Advisory. And folks, as you may know by now, we certainly invite you to come visit with us. It's absolutely free to get a second opinion on your retirement planning. And I think it's important to get a second opinion from someone who's a specialist when it comes to retirement planning. And Larry, I'm sure they're wondering, if they pick up the phone and they call and come visit with you, what can they expect? What's that experience like?
Well, Mike, they can expect not to get hard sold, okay? We're going to greet them warmly. We're going to sit down and talk to them a little bit about maybe their story, where they're from, where they grew up, how they met their spouse, what they're dreaming of doing once they get soon to be retired or retired.
Kind of what are their goals, right?
Yeah, what are your goals? We're going to talk to them a little bit about who we are, what we do, show them how we do things, especially dealing in the market realities we find ourselves in today.
Got it. So essentially, they're coming in, you're learning a little bit about what's important to them, what their goals are, what they're trying to accomplish. I'm sure you're taking a look at what they're doing so far. You maybe share a little bit about you, and it's just in a very relaxed atmosphere.
That's right.
And there's no cost to do this. Is that correct?
No cost. No cost.
All right. So, folks, there you go. I mean, it sounds very simple, very easy, very laid back. There's no reason for you not to just pick up the phone, call the number on the screen, come visit us, get that second opinion. You'd be glad that you did. So today in Chalk Talk, we are discussing what I like to refer to as the financial planning process, okay, the planning process. And, this is one of those areas that whatever you're doing, if you don't mind, I hope I can get you just to stop and pay attention with me for a couple of minutes, because of everything that I ever talk about on this show, this right here may be the most important thing that you ever get on this show at any time. And it has to do with the planning process. It has to do with making sure you're doing a good job when it comes to your retirement planning and how it all works. Now, whenever you look at the planning process, there are 3 levels of planning. We have goals, we have strategies, and we have tools. Now, the problem that we have in our industry, in the financial industry, is that generally speaking, the way that we are trained as advisors, we are trained on doing one thing particularly, which is how do we sell various tools? Tools are things like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate funds, etc. So we are trained to focus on and sell tools. Okay, so let's go back. Those are things like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, etc. Now, here's the problem. Whenever you ever read that book from Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, what does he say in that book that effective people do? And whenever you plan for anything, do you start and focus on the end here? No, we start here. We start with the goals. You know, Stephen Covey says you begin with the end in mind, but basically what are we doing? We need to start with the goals. Whenever you think about your retirement planning, you have to start by thinking about, well, gosh darn it, what do you want? What are your goals? Now, whenever I talk to someone about their goals in retirement, what I'm really referring to is they might say, well, my goal is I want a certain amount of income per month, or I want to travel, or whatever. But if you dig a little deeper, generally speaking, these are the kinds of things that people want in their retirement, their real core goals. It might be something about maintaining lifestyle. We hear that. Or maintaining FI, which stands for financial independence. It might be don't be a burden on the children. Boy, I hear that one a lot. Or freedom. You know, I hear all the time, I really want the freedom to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Those are the goals. That's what we're really trying to accomplish in retirement. Well, if you can get clear, so now think about this, if you can get clear on your goals, well then the next step is to say, okay, here's what I want. Now, what kind of strategies do I need to support those goals? Right? What kind of strategies? Well, if you want to maintain lifestyle, for example, you probably need, some kind of an income type of strategy. Well, you've got your portfolio, you probably need some kind of investment strategy. You also, if you think about it, you know what happens a lot in retirement? Taxes become a big deal. You might need a tax strategy. You might need a healthcare strategy or an estate planning strategy. You might need an inflation strategy. There's a number of strategies that you may need to support these core goals. But where do we start? Do we start with the tools? Do we start with the strategy? Where do we start? We start with what's important, your goals. You get crystal clear on the goals. Then you identify what strategies do you need to support those goals. Get crystal clear there. Once you're crystal clear on the goals and the strategies, guess what? Tools become a piece of cake, don't they? It's kind of like you make a pie. You're trying to make an apple pie. What's the goal? I want to make an apple pie. What's the strategy? Well, I got to follow this recipe. What are the tools? Sugar, apples, more sugar, right? But that's how it works. And the problem we have in our industry is, where do financial advisors spend all their time? They focus over here. If you want to succeed in your retirement, you got to start and you got to focus here, and every meeting with your advisor should be, how are we doing over here?
NMC Extended Education is introducing an educational class titled Retirement Secrets, Your Best Is Yet to Come. Our very own Larry Flynn will be the presenter. If you are nearing retirement or already retired, then this class is for you. Many things can threaten your ability to outlive your assets and retire well. The 3 big things being healthcare, inflation, and taxes. Learn to navigate the critical issues that a retiree must deal with. You'll learn how to plan for a predictable and sustainable income, minimize taxes on your IRAs, maximize your Social Security benefits, and avoid estate planning mistakes. We'll also discuss long-term care concerns and what investments are appropriate in different situations. The cost is only $69. Materials will be provided, and a spouse or guest may attend for free. The class will be held on 2 Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. for 3 hours. October 4th and October 11th at the NMC Great Lakes Campus, room 101. Reserve your seats today by calling NMC at 231-995-1700. The class is called Retirement Secrets. Again, that number is 231-995-1700.
Welcome back. In our last segment in Chalk Talk, we were just talking about things like goals, strategies, tools. And by the way, I want you to think about this. I mean, when is the last time when you sat down with your financial advisor that they actually said, hey, let's really focus on your goals. Let's get crystal clear on your goals, and then strategies to support goals and tools, etc. And when's the last time that's happened? It's really important that you do this, because if you don't do that, if that conversation isn't happening, the odds of you getting what you want or what you need are not high. And what's really cool is we do this in all areas of life. So I'll give you an example of how my wife Becky used this concept of goals, strategies, and tools, not in the financial world, but in another area of her life. And you've probably done the same. So here's what happened. Here's what happened. Becky, my wife, decided one day that she wanted a convertible. Her whole life, she's wanted a convertible car. That's what she wanted. And my wife she's very analytical, so she's thinking, okay. She literally pulled out a piece of paper, and she started listing for herself all the things that she wanted, the goals that she had for this convertible. Right? That's what she was doing. Now, one of the goals that she had when she made her list was that she said, I want to have a convertible that actually has, I know this is going to sound crazy, a usable back seat. Because at the time we had little kids, and she was thinking, if I ever want to take that convertible out for a drive and I want to take the kids, I want them to be able to sit in the back seat. So I need a back seat that at least is large enough for a small kid, like maybe a 5 or a 6-year-old or something like that, right? So that's one of her goals. That was really important to her. So what does she do? She starts doing a little research online to get some ideas of cars that she might want to look at, and then boom, off she goes to the dealer. I don't know about you. Have you ever, I'm sure you've gone to the car dealer to buy a car, haven't you? And is it fair to say, I don't know about you, is it fair to say that sometimes the salespeople that you come across at a car dealer, they're not, how shall I say it, sometimes they're not really focused on what's best for you. Maybe they're focused on what they're just trying to sell that day. Is that fair to say? I mean, sometimes you just don't get the best people to deal with. Yeah, I know. In fact, let's be honest. If you can actually find a good one, it's, gosh, I got to tell all my friends because you won't believe what happened today. I actually found a good car salesman, right? I'm not trying to denigrate all car salesmen, because that's not, there are good ones out there. But you know how they are. They're different. So what happens is the first place my wife goes to, and I'm not going to give the names, but she goes into one place and she gets a salesman that goes like this. Basically, okay, what are you looking for? My wife says convertible. That's the last question he asked. He was done with his questions. At that point, he says, you want a convertible? Let me go show you the convertible you need. That was it. Basically, what was he focused on? He was focused on how to sell something, right? How to sell something. Now, my wife, as you can imagine, did not respond to that type of process very well. So off she goes to another car dealer. Now, at the next car dealer, she gets a salesman who's very helpful. This salesman stops and literally says, okay, before we look at any cars, what are you trying to do? What are you looking for? What kind of car are you looking for? She says convertible. He says, well, there's a lot of convertibles. Let's, tell me more. And literally he has her lay out all of her goals for this car, what she's trying to find. And so based upon those goals, he helps her find the very best car for her, right? You've gone through that process, haven't you? Which place do you think she ended up buying the car from? Yeah, obviously the second. But which place do you think gave her the better chance to buy the right car? Well, the place where the salesperson there, or the car advisor, asked the questions, actually wanted to know what she was trying to accomplish. The same is true when it comes to your retirement planning. The same is true. You go to most places, what are they doing? They're basically saying, hey, oh, you want to plan for retirement? Okay, let me show you how to do that. Don't be going there. Focus on working with advisors who take the time, learn what you're trying to accomplish, what are your goals, so they can put you in exactly the right place for you, just like the second salesman did for my wife with her convertible.
Will your retirement vision be your retirement reality? Centennial Wealth Advisory invites you to an eye-opening and exciting event packed with up-to-date, valuable, and important information. Join us for a free presentation with complimentary gourmet dinner and find out what you're missing on these vital topics. What is the suitability versus fiduciary standard of care in the financial services industry? What are the biggest tax traps? What are the hidden costs in mutual funds? Why is getting a second opinion the most important financial decision of your life? And much more. Choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, October 17th at Boone's Long Lake Inn in Traverse City, Thursday, October 19th at the Inn at Bay Harbor in Petoskey, or Wednesday, October 25th at the Otsego Club in Gaylord. Presentations start at 6 p.m. and are free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow. But seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 888-608-5825 or visit sen-wealth.com to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important presentation, making your retirement vision a reality. Call 888-608-5825 today. NMC Extended Education is introducing an educational class titled Retirement Secrets, Your Best Is Yet to Come. Our very own Larry Flynn will be the presenter. If you are nearing retirement or already retired, then this class is for you. Many things can threaten your ability to outlive your assets and retire well. The three big things being healthcare, inflation, and taxes. Learn to navigate the critical issues that a retiree must deal with. You'll learn how to plan for a predictable and sustainable income, minimize taxes on your IRAs, maximize your Social Security benefits, and avoid estate planning mistakes. We'll also discuss long-term care concerns and what investments are appropriate in different situations. The cost is only $69. Materials will be provided, and a spouse or guest may attend for free. The class will be held on 2 Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. for 3 hours, October 4th and October 11th at the NMC Great Lakes Campus, room 101. Reserve your seats today by calling NMC at 231-995-1700. The class is called Retirement Secrets. Again, that number is 231-995-1700.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm sitting here with Larry Flynn. He's one of the financial advisors at Centennial Wealth Advisory. Larry, thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Mike.
As you know, we've been talking this week about things like the planning process, goals, strategies, tools. And I know that you come across issues all the time when you're talking to people where the tools that they're using, for whatever reason, don't match up with their goals and their objectives. And sure. I wonder if maybe you could share with our audience maybe a story or two of that happening.
Well, one I can think of just recently, Mike, is had two clients, and they were both school teachers, and they were fortunate enough to have pensions. I mean, really decent pensions, ones you don't see very often.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of pensions anymore, do you?
No. They had pensions, they had their Social Security. I mean, their income needs for life were all set.
Just between Social Security and pension?
Just between both of them and that.
Okay, all set. They're all good with that.
All set for life. And then they've got this great amount sitting over here in these other accounts.
Like retirement accounts?
Yeah, retirement accounts, yeah. Right? And so we're beginning the conversation of, what do you want that money to do for you, right? What's it there for?
In other words, you're saying, what is the goal? That's what we talk about, right, folks? We talked about that today. What's the goal? What'd they say?
Well, they said, well, the first thing right off the bat is, well, we don't need it for income, right?
Because they've got that covered.
They've got that covered. So we start talking a little bit more. They've got kids. They do plan on leaving some of it to the kids. So we're talking a little bit about that. They're like, we might dip into it for travel here and there, but honestly, we don't really know what we're going to do. It's most likely going to go to the kids.
Now, at that stage, did you immediately tell them that you are available for adoption?
Yes, I did.
Obviously, folks, just joking there. That's anyway. So from what I'm hearing, you have this couple. Everything's taken care of income-wise, and they have this money left over. And the purpose of the extra money was maybe some travel, maybe health care, I guess, if it comes up. But predominantly, it's going to the next generation.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
So how is it when we're talking about how the goals don't match up with the tools, how is it that their tools and goals, what didn't match up when you were talking to them?
Here's what didn't match up. We get into that basket they have over here of savings, right?
Right, their investments.
Right, and lo and behold, what we find in there is a majority of it in what you call variable annuities.
Okay.
Now, variable annuities are a unique financial instrument that provides you with guaranteed income for the rest of your life.
Okay, so they had their money in some financial vehicle that was structured to give them guaranteed income.
That's right.
Yet, as we just talked about, that's not the purpose of that money. They don't need income.
Sure.
So why is that a bad thing?
Well, it would not be a bad thing if that's what they needed. But when you dig into these variable annuities, yes, they provide guaranteed income, but from an investment standpoint, they're just riddled with fees.
Yeah, I do know that they're pretty expensive. I mean, I think that when you were talking to me about that earlier, that some fees, I mean, sometimes it's 2, 3, sometimes as much as 4% in those types of tools.
Sure.
So basically what I'm hearing you say is the advisor had them in a tool where they're paying a bunch of fees, probably close to 3% a year, and they're paying the fees when they don't need that tool, thus they don't need to pay those fees.
That's right.
Is that what I'm hearing?
That's right. Now, that financial instrument or tool might have been appropriate under a different circumstance, okay?
Right, but not in this one.
But it was not in this one.
And so why would the advisor put them in something like that, do you imagine?
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with commissions, would it?
Yeah, probably a trick question there a little bit, right?
Sure.
So here we have an example where someone in the financial industry, they were focusing on a tool to sell and whether or not it was really, truly appropriate for the client.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right.
So do you see that often?
Mike, we see it a lot.
Yeah, unfortunately, right?
Yep.
All right, folks, listen, I know we have to wrap up our show today, but look, if you're sitting there, maybe you haven't had these discussions with your advisor, or maybe you do things yourself, but you haven't really mapped out your goals, strategies, tools, and make sure everything's on the same page, done appropriately. Be a great reason to pick up the phone, call the number on the screen, and visit. So, Larry, thanks so much for being here today. Appreciate it. That's our show, folks. I hope you have a great week.